Hey guys, so we're continuing on with the best of beauty in 2017, and I actually recorded this video already with a whole bunch of different categories. I had like blush, bronzer, contour, highlights all in one video, and it just was too long and I felt like I was rushing through everything. So I thought I would just pull out highlighters because y'all know how much I like highlighters. I think you guys like highlighters too from the comments that I read. So we're just going to be talking about my favorite highlighters from 2017 in this particular video. And it's going to be, you know, powders, I have creams, I have some liquids. And I started out with such a humongous list of highlighters that I sort of reached for this year and ones that I loved, and I just was, you know, sort of going through my collection, and, you know, I ended up with like 20, 25, and I was like, okay, all right, we need some parameters here. So these are all the highlighters that I loved that were actually released this year. So there were plenty of highlighters that I used and loved, but I've had for a while, that I got maybe last year, the end of last year, even earlier than that, and I'm still using them. That's fine. That's a whole nother video. So these are all the ones that were released this past year. I figured that was the one parameter that I could apply to this and really whittle down the list. So if you're interested in hearing what my favorite highlighters were that were released in this past year of 2017, then just keep on watching. All right, I'm gonna get a couple out of the way because I just mentioned these in my Top 5 Tuesdays liquid highlighters. So, you know, I didn't want to be redundant, but they were worth mentioning in this best of series because they were. I just felt like they were the best of this past year. I really love them, and I used them quite a bit. So this is the Marc Jacobs Do You Dewdrops. I love this. It is just a super glowy, beautiful liquid highlight. It is not totally opaque. It's not totally sheer. It's really, there's a lot of like bang in this particular highlighter. So I've been loving this, and I'm going to go ahead and link to my Top 5 Tuesdays liquid highlighter right up here if you're interested in kind of, you know, a little bit more in-depth thought and swatches and stuff. So that is definitely one from this past year. And also this Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Beauty Light Wand Easy Highlighter. This I also mentioned in that video, but I really, really love this one. This one is much more opaque than the Marc Jacobs one. You need a lot less of this for the same effect, and it's just gorgeous. I just really, really like it. So the Charlotte Tilbury Beauty Light Wand. So let's move into some other highlighters that really stood out to me this past year. The first one is this By Terry Glow Expert Duo Stick. So this is a cream highlighter, and it comes in stick form, and half of it is a blush, which I love as well, and half of it is highlighter, which is what I've been using more of. You can see that I've really made a dent in this, and it's really beautiful. It just glides on really easily. I just sort of swipe, and then I just kind of like spread it out and blend it in with my fingertips, and I'm good to go. And I've used this under powder, over powder. It works well both ways. I haven't felt like, if I've used it over powder, I haven't felt like it's, even swiping it, I don't feel like it's messed up my powder underneath. So it's pretty amazing. You know, it's not as emollient as a lot of cream highlighters out there, but it's not quite as powdery as like the Nars Multiple Stick. The Nars Multiple Stick I find to be kind of crumbly, and it is really, really powdery. It kind of like goes on very, very velvety. This one is a little bit more emollient than that, but it's not like the Glossier Halo Scope with that like moisturizing center core. It doesn't have that. So it's a little bit, so it's kind of like right in between. It's really, really nice. This particular color is great. This is in 3 Peachy Petal. So this highlighter has like a nice little peachy hint to it. Sorry, highlighter is so hard to show up on cameras, and I use this a lot. When I first got it, I want to say the beginning of the summer. It was like the perfect summer highlight. And then the rest of the highlighters that I have are powders. So I don't even know where to begin. You know what? I'm going to begin with the limited edition highlighter that I don't think is available anymore. But this is the Nars Banc de Sable Highlighter Trio. These are absolutely stunning. I use the first 2 shades the most, but this one is really nice too. Let me see if these will swatch at all, but these are the 3 colors. They're just super duper glowy. They're just, I mean, they're just such a beautiful, beautiful highlight. Because it was limited edition, I didn't want to keep mentioning it. So I haven't mentioned this too much on my channel, but I do love it. I do use it quite a bit. And they've come out with, is it the this is the Banc de Sable. I think that was the Bord de Plage. So it's like a 6-pan highlight, bronzer, contour palette. And I think some of these are in there, and I think that one is still available. So get your hands on it if you can, if you want. They're just really beautiful, beautiful highlights. And then the next one is the BECCA Chrissy Teigen palette. This one is another limited edition palette, so I just want to kind of just mention it quickly. I think it may still be available, but I'm not sure, especially by the time this goes up. But I really, really loved this particular Beach Nectar highlight that came in the palette. This is, I think, the only place that this highlight appears. So it's like exclusive to this palette. I just really like it. It's very goldeny peach, and it's super duper bright. I think you can see that next to the Nars there. I mean, it is really, really peachy. And so this was great in the summertime. I think I was just really, really surprised at how much I enjoyed this palette. I didn't use the rose gold highlighter that much, but I used the bronzer, this highlight, and this blush a lot. I just thought it was really, it just gave my face like a really fresh, kind of glowy look to it. And then this next highlight I don't think is limited edition. In fact, I think maybe it was, and then it's not, and I still see it at the Chanel counters. But this is the PLISSE Lumiere de Chanel, and I just really like it. And in fact, I've pulled it out ever since I got those Lion highlighters because I was comparing the two. And ever since then, I've just been using it a lot again. So this one has just a beautiful wet look, as you know I love. So that is the Chanel Plissé highlighter. It's just really beautiful. I don't know what else to say. It's just really beautiful. I'm going to be using the same words over and over again for all of these highlights, but it has a wet look, it's very metallic, it's gorgeous, it's glowy, and I really like this one. But you can see that the tone of this one is a bit lighter than all the, well, not this Nars one, but these others here. It's a bit lighter than the others. So it's nice for me now, especially when I'm a bit paler in the wintertime. This next powder is kind of like a highlighter, kind of like a finishing powder. You can kind of use it either way, but this is the by Terry Compact Expert Dual Powder. I have it in the shade 4 Beige Nude, and this center shade is just really pretty. It's not as metallic and reflective as these other ones, but it definitely gives you a really nice natural glow, and I really like it if you want to use it as like a finishing powder. It kind of reminds me of those Hourglass ambient lighting powders. It just has like a really nice, very pearly, like a sateen finish to it. So I've been loving this for like my natural kind of like no makeup days. It's really, really pretty. All right, so I've got 2 highlighters left, and these 2 are like the 2 standout highlighters from this past year. The first one is this Hourglass Ambient Metallic Strobe Lighting Palette. This one came out actually for the holidays, so I've only had this for, a couple of months, a few months, if you will, but I love all the shades. I can use them all together. I can use them individually. They are just really, really high shine, metallic, wet looking. So those are the 3 shades. Just gorgeous. They go on the skin so beautifully. It is definitely a very bright metallic highlight, but at the same time, I don't feel like it's this super obvious, like, oh my God, what does she have on her face? It's like the most subtle of the super bright highlights out there, I think, and it's just gorgeous. And I just love this palette. I love all 3. I mean, I could go on and on about this. This is like tied for #1 of 2017. Okay, so last but not least, I love these highlighters. This is the Tom Ford Reflex Gilt Highlighting Duo. I love these powders. They're so wet looking. Like, there's nothing wetter looking. It's what I have on my cheeks today. There is just nothing wetter looking out there. And even though these tones are a little bit, like visually when I look at them, I think, oh, that's like way too deep for my skin tone. When I put it on my cheeks, I mean, they may be a little bit too deep, but I do not care. I love the like super wet glow that it gives my cheeks. Just love it. This is not something I would probably use all over my face because I think it's just way too much, but for my cheeks, it's great. I just love it. I mean, look how wet that looks. So this is definitely one of my most loved highlighters from this past year. So I hope you guys enjoyed my best of 2017 highlighters. Please subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video.